Are you ready for the golden age? The Quantum Galaxy Network presents Making Life Brighter on the Voice America Variety Channel, where we prepare you and the planet for the golden age. Making Life Brighter features experts in their field and visionaries sharing their unique keys for sustainability on Earth, including all cutting-edge healing modalities, consciousness training, and natural healing. Tune in every Thursday for valuable golden nuggets of universal harmony and coherency with body, mind, and spirit. Each week, Winifred introduces you to thought leaders, best-selling authors, influencers, and Grammy Award-winning musicians. Making Life Brighter is your source for inspiring us to live in cooperation and purpose as we prepare for the golden age and beyond. The Quantum Galaxy Network invites you to join Making Life Brighter as we prepare for the golden age. Making Life Brighter is your forum for healing, inspiring, and uplifting entertainment. Here is your host, Winifred Adams.
Welcome, everybody. Hope you're going jolly out there today. Thank you for joining us here on Making Life Brighter. And I have a special guest for you today. I am so excited to introduce this guest. But first, I just want to remind everybody, if you haven't heard the show with John Jubilee, please go back to the archives on Voice America Media on the Variety Channel and check it out. And be sure that when you join that program with us and we rock the world to actually lose weight, gain muscle, and get hydrated, that you mention Making Life Brighter, because John is a superstar and he is changing lives. He's helping people heal. He is doing amazing things. And today we're going to introduce you to someone I could call my acquaintance, my friend, and it has an interesting history to my family too, which is very interesting. And he is also a famous superstar in his own right, Mr. Richie Onori, famous drummer, right here with us today in studio. Welcome, Richie, out of Nashville.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? I'm in Nashville.
That's right. He's in Nashville joining us today. It's so nice to have you with us today, Richie. Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. Pleasure.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot to talk about. You have a brand new single out, and you are now getting ready to release more music as you go, and you have been on tour with your band Sweet. Let's kind of talk about your new single, because you just launched that and it's stellar. Your music is amazing. And for y'all out there, go to richieonori.com and follow along, because this is amazing. So Richie, let's talk about your new single.
Yeah, I was back some time ago. I wrote about an experience that happened to me in 1977, where, growing up with sex, drugs, and rock and roll in the middle of Hollywood, living in the San Fernando Valley, I was exposed to a lot at that time. You had Van Halen. The band I was playing with was bigger than Van Halen at the time.
Satyr, is that right?
Satyr, Satyr, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we know Satyr.
Yeah, mythological creature. But it was really something, this band. We toured with Alice Cooper and all that. So we had a lot of, we'd have the Go-Go's backstage and all that. Well, long story short, I was at the wrong place, wrong time. I was involved in, the drug circles and all that. And anyways, we were held up by these detectives. They said they were detectives, but they were actually the Hillside Stranglers. And their date, part of the thing, besides killing the 30 girls that they killed, was ripping off drug dealers. And I was at a drug dealer's house. So long story short, it's a story I've told through the years, and people are like, "What? Can't believe it." It's one of the many stories that I have.
Well, you're lucky to have your life. You're lucky to actually still be alive, because they held you at gunpoint.
Well, spirit works in interesting ways, and I was meant to go through all the different experiences, and I've lived to tell. And you have turnabouts in life, and it's all part of I think a plan for me. And I am, call it lucky or call it
blessed. You're blessed.
Call it blessings and divine intervention, all the different things that happen. So what occurred for me is, I never went public with it. And so back about several months ago, I had this song on the back burner called Running Down the Devil's Road. And it's all about that story. So what happens is I'm looking at one of the shows that I'm on Paramount Plus or this or that. I see that on MGM Plus it's a documentary on the Hillside Stranglers, a 4-part series coming out. I said, you know what? It's time I go public with my story. And so I did that. I've told my story, and it's not on the show because that's already out. But I wanted to couple that, and I just did a radio tour all over the United States, and done a bunch of interviews about this, what happened to me, and so it's very interesting. And then we play this, I play the song, and recently I had Janae Flanor add the violin, who's out with George Strait, and she won all the CMA awards. I had her overdub the violin, and then we remixed it, and we released it, and it's called "Running Down the Devil's Road," the ballad of the Hillside Stranglers.
It's amazing. It's an amazing song. Your music is really rich, and it's got kind of a country feel. What genre would you say this is?
Well, it's it's multi-genre, but I call what we're doing right now is, and I've got different projects in the work. It's called Sweet America because I'm in the group Sweet, and this is all about Americana music. I call it country rock and blues.
I like that.
And
yeah, it is really.
And
well,
it's based on. Go ahead.
You're from Bakersfield originally?
No, not like Hickett Hart says that. I am from the South, though, Southern California. I use that as a joke because that's one of my songs. I'm a Hickett Hart because we grew up in Chatsworth where there's all these ranches in Topanga.
And you were a Southern California boy, but you basically found your way with different bands and eventually Sweet. Like you won the playoff of all the bands, and then you ended up following this career. So let's go back to the beginning a little bit and give people some history of how you made it to this place, because you've played with everybody. And though your music is kind of Americana and all that, it's so solid, and you can hear the years of perfection that you've created in this. So let's talk about how you created Sweet and where you began in your journey.
Well, growing up in the San Fernando Valley, my brother was into the surf band, so I joined his band at a very young age, and then I got in, really learning formally as a drummer. I got into jazz, and I was in a jazz group with Rick Zinniger, who ended up playing on the Key to Life and Freddie Hubbard and all that. But I went through a lot of different incarnations, and of course there was Jimi Hendrix, and I was really influenced by the English situation. But my first break was when I was 16, 17. Question Mark and the Mysterians they were from Michigan. He came out here, Q, we call them. He came out here, 96 Tears was the #1 hit in 1966. So I joined his band for just a short time in like 1973, 74. And that was my first, introduction with that. And then from there on out, I joined played in many bands, all genres. And then, next thing I know, I joined that group Satter, and we toured with Alice Cooper, and we played with Aerosmith, and I was 22 playing the Winnipeg Arena for 12,000 people. And, and that got it in my blood even further that I went the rock route and progressive music. And I've really focused on a lot of English bands too. So even though my heart is, the stuff I create is very country, rock, and blues, because that's who I am. As far as a drummer, I'm noted in the English community a lot of, like, I played with Keith Emerson for a couple years, and I played with all the funk guys, it's been a trip, man.
You're diverse, but people would put you in rock and roll. They would say that you really played rock and roll, but that's not true. You played a little bit of everything, and you say that your genre is more Americana and country. But honestly, I think you have a strength, and you can kind of do whatever. Now, what's interesting, I just need to tell people this because they know that I've done music and on this show, and so. I need to tell this story because how I met Richie is like 1 in a million, like a million. I met him at his house. And I was recording in the basement my song, and I didn't know him, and I didn't know it was his house. I was just called in for the studio. So we're going into the guitar solo, the electric guitar solo. We're working on that, and this guy walks into the studio, and everybody stops and says hello, and it's him. And he starts talking to me, and he says, "So, where are you from?" And I said, "Oh, back east." And he says, "Well, yeah, where?" And I said, "Oh, a little town." And he said, "But where?" And I said, "Oh, it's this little small town, Auburn. It's kind of near Syracuse." He's like, "Auburn? I know Auburn. My dad grew up in Auburn." And I'm like, "What? Really?" He said, "Yeah." So anyway, we have that background. So I call my mother and I said, "You wouldn't believe this, Mom, but I was recording in the studio." And my mom says, "Richie Onori, I used to walk home from school with his dad." Like, what's the chance of that? Right? So anyway, that's how we came to know each other personally. And it's been a wonderful journey since. So Richie, let's talk more about how you're going to take your career next, because now you're going solo, you're using your name, and you're launching into what arenas? Where are we going to?
Well, it's that country rock and blues, and building your brand, because is a key thing. And I had one of our biggest songs was "Sweet" as Ballroom Blitz. So at that point in time, I was like, okay, I've got all these great songs, and they're all into the rock and country. I've got all this stuff already in the can. But so I was looking for a big time band or artist to do Ballroom Blitz country version, because it's a perfect two-step line dancing Western swing kind of thing. So so that's what I did. I found a gal who won The Voice. I forget her name, and they ended up Xing it. And I was looking for all these artists. It never happened. I says, "Well, screw it, I'm doing it." So I did it. And where I'm at in Nashville with Danny Nova, he's an incredible artist, Danny Nova Band. He, so he ends up being the executive producer on it, and we put this together, uh, and that will be coming out soon. So we're going to start with that. Besides this Hillside Strangler story, the Running Down the Devil's Road, which is getting a lot of attention, the next one is Ballroom Blitz Countrified. And I've got a choreographer that's already done the line dancing that's going out on TikTok here in the next several days. It's going to go out to all the influencers, and just a segment like 50. So that's the pathway to really break that, and then becoming very unnotable in the country market. And then I've got all the other songs lined up ready to go. And then after that, at some point in time, there'll be a lot of what I do is conscious things to
Yes.
wake up people. Like
Yes.
I redid what the only other cover song I do is City of New Orleans. And uh, you know, uh, the lyrics to that, I'm sure. And at one point I say, "Wake up, America, where are
Yes.
you?" on the last chorus. So, it's about people becoming awake, aware. A lot of the work that you're doing and your audience does, it's about that.
Yeah, and we love that, and we commune on that. But we have to take a quick break. We have Richie Onori with us today. He's a famous drummer, and you have to check out all of his music. Go to richieonori.com. We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We have much more for you right here on Making Life Brighter Radio. We'll be right back.
One man is growing old and one man is being told that.
Welcome back to Making Life Brighter with host and leading medical intuitive Winifred Adams on the Voice America Variety Channel, your preferred choice for conscious education and entertainment, featuring experts in their field and visionaries preparing the planet for the golden age and beyond. For more information, visit us at makinglifebrighter.com in the media section. Be sure to like us on Facebook at Making Life Brighter. If you have questions or comments, please email us at radio@makinglifebrighter.com. That's radio@makinglifebrighter.com. And now, back to the show with your host, Winifred Adams.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We have a special episode with famous drummer Richie Onori, and he is here straight out of Nashville, live out of Nashville in his RV there, and he's doing some new music. He's working on a special show. He actually has all kinds of things that he's involved in, and we welcome him here on Making Life Brighter because he's making lives brighter out there as well. Richie, let's talk about your nonprofit and kind of what you've been doing and what it is you feel heart of hearts about the world today.
Well, I set out with a couple things. When I moved to New Mexico, I teamed up with a woman that was very hep to purpose. And but my goal is in 2020, when I escaped the pandemic out of Los Angeles, I had 8 marches across the United States against the New World Order and against all out of ethics, what's happening on this planet. And so that was all over the, 8 different marches that happened. And so when I came back to New Mexico, I kind of landed there. I started really developing my nonprofit, People for a New America, at that time. And we got a lot of people. We had a lot of great, bright ideas. Amazing stuff happened, and one thing led to the next. And then I ended up moving back to Los Angeles. And from the FANA, we had a lot of good ideas. Some of those things did happen, but I believe that I've had to put some of that on the back burner because so much is going on in my life, and because that's just the way divine has led me. So I really kind of felt like it was time for the Unity, Peace, and Freedom Festival, which I did on October 26, 2024, because unifying mankind through music. And in the morning, I had a complete bringing all the races and religions together. I brought all the different, and we had prayer circles in the morning at Warner Center in the middle of a very big park in Woodland Hills, California. So then I had very famous guitarists do they did the Star Spangled Banner. It was just like Hendrix did back in the day, but this is the guy that played with on Leo Matoya. Amazing. And then the concert started, and that was with Iron Butterfly and Tierra, who's very well known. And we had the Main Ingredient and my band Sweet. And then I brought in Scott Page with Steve Perkins on drums, did the whole Pink Floyd thing, and Roberta was on vocals. A lot of people from Pink Floyd, and that kept on going from the Redbone. And so it was a day that blew people away, that I was able to capture this and really demonstrate what my purpose, one of my goals, was to use concerts to really do this. So I was able to make headway with that. And then, stuff happens, come in. There's always people that come in, parasitic and all that. And so then my next venture was the veterans. And so I teamed up with doing a telethon, which was halfway successful. So after that whole endeavor with that, and what my purpose is, I went back to being the messenger as being a musician, out there with my music and focusing, and also touring with Sweet, everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of that. I mean, musicians are really seeing and feeling kind of what's going on. They have a finger on the pulse, so you're seeing, as you're out there among the people, what moves the people, what they want, what they need. And music is the way to heal people, but also wake them up. And now what are you going to do as you walk forward?
Well, again, I listen, and I think you know what that is because you're very intuitive. So yes, I listen. And sometimes you get marching orders to do certain things. And so my marching orders is to get a lot more out there, put people's attention units on what I'm doing through these series of steps. And with me becoming more in the public eye with funny songs, with all that, and then build that. And so the idea is that that is another plateau that I'm reaching for, which is actually manifesting as we speak. So, where's that? What happens next? Well, there's stay tuned because there's a lot. Because it's funny with life how dots connect, and a lot of things that you plant, those seeds come up, and some of them die off, and some of them come up, and then all of a sudden you go, hey, we're going to connect that dot with that dot with that dot, and these groups of people, and all of a sudden, that's how you change the world because you listen is the key thing.
Yeah, and you are not only a musician and a really good one, but you are a producer as well and a writer. I mean, you're kind of all hats, but you're a visionary. And that's kind of what I want to point out here. You are a visionary and you're bringing goodness to the world because let's face it, okay, you came from a drug world of music in the beginning. And that's where that whole piece about the Hillside Strangler is very interesting and comes in because you thwarted death at that point and got around that just by grace. And here you are, and you're doing these wonderful things. But people think of rock and roll and as that. They think of it as a dangerous live on the edge kind of thing. What is your commentary to the way you've lived your life versus where you're heading to now? Because you are very clear and conscious.
Well, if you're living life to somewhat an ethical standard, we're pretty much protected. So whatever comes in, I always felt like I was protected, even during that period of time, even though it came and it got a lot worse from there. Believe me, the next story that's going to come out, people will be blown away. But my commentary is to when I did my rock opera, which was about my vision in the desert, which happened in 1989, that's what gave me my purpose. That has given me the fuel to be able to do all these things. And then I did that with a cast of 17 cast members. I staged it 3 times. And that's really the thing I'm going to do in one of the projects, animated version. That's one project. And another version is doing a variety show, which I'm in the works on that as well.
That's cool. That's cool. I look forward to hearing all of this and seeing it. And you have been through so many different venues and around the world. You played with Aerosmith. You played with the people that, dropped the names in the hat. Of all of that, who influenced you the most, good or bad?
Who influenced me? Well, having a jazz as a drummer, it was Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa and Mitch Mitchell from Jimi Hendrix Band. As a guitarist, because I'm considered quite the guitarist now, Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, they were really influential on me. But same with Miles Davis and Freddie Hubbard and Stevie Wonder and Joni Mitchell and some of my favorite artists of all times.
When you were a kid growing up, what did you listen to, and did you always aspire to be this, to do music as a career?
Well, my mom was a stage mom, so she got me into dance. She danced with Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland. So I was the kid. Instead of going up the street to play with all my friends, I'd be practicing my steps. So I had to work very hard, but it gave me a lot of discipline. So by the time I picked up drums after hitting pots and pans, they got me my first drum set. And my parents weren't wealthy, believe me, but they got me into drum lessons and all that. So, but my dad was almost like a musicologist, even though he wasn't a musician. My mom was a great singer, but she didn't make it, so to speak. So they saw me as being that little entertainer. So I consider myself not just being pigeonholed as a drummer, but as an entertainer. And but I was influenced by my father with what was going on. He would play all the different genres of music, Louis Prima, the whole Italian thing, to the surf music. We were just hit with constant music at my house, and everybody it was the days of garage bands, and so it was on fire. It's not like today where everything kind of sifted off into hip hop and rap, and it
That's
got
because you had to be there. You had to be present. And when you heard something was going on, you showed up. Whereas today we can listen to it later. There's not the same,
good point.
scene. It's not the same scene. So we have to make the scene.
That's right.
And you're making the scene by what you're choosing next. And this is fascinating. Of all the crazy rock and roll escapades and playing around the world, what's one of those stories that you just don't forget that happened along the road?
Oh boy, there's a lot of them. But we picked up in 2011. We toured all South America with Journey, so that was quite a nice tour that we did with them. But you play with Joan Jett and Boston and everybody you could imagine, and playing from we played with Kid Rock and da 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 da. It goes on and on. So you're always it's really a family when you reach that kind of a level of fame, so to speak. It's like a big club. You see all the musicians on the road. You hang out at times. Like we just did the 70s rock and romance cruise, which was a fabulous thing that we did in this last March, and that was with Ambrosia and my friends from Pablo Cruz, Robbie Wyckoff, and all these guys. But yeah, wild stories happen. It's just indicative.
And who have you played with that is just like, that just gave you chills from head to toe?
Well, coming from a progressive background with Satter, when I met Keith Emerson, the next thing you know, I'm playing with him. And he set up his whole, I was in the Hollywood Hills. He set it up at my studio, his whole setup. And then playing with Louis Johnson, who was in Brothers Johnson, Thunder Thumbs. He's another master. And he hooked me up we did videos for Starlix. And next thing I know, I'm playing with Larry Graham from Sly and the Family Stone and Nathan East and all the top bass players in a shoot for 2 days. He was a master. I played with him for 8 years, and we played all the big funk hits, the stuff he was Quincy's main guy. So having that vocabulary in the funk thing and having that kind of thing just filled in for what I do as a drummer. And then I did a tour. I did a tour with Uli John Roth, who was the original guitarist for the Scorpions, and he's a complete master, classical master guitarist. That Yngwie was inspired by him.
People don't realize.
I played with all like master type people, or Ronnie James Dio, or Jolyn Turner, or Kelly Hansen, the singer for Foreigner, was my partner in a label, and we played a bunch of tracks, or Richie Sambora and all these people that you end up mingling with. I look back, I go, did that really, wait a second, did that happen? It's like, okay.
Well, people don't really realize that a lot of these musicians in these bands are actually classically trained, and same with singers too. Great singers are classically trained. It has such an influence, and you see the style that's being shown, but you don't realize how much they're actual like super musicians. They're like it's incredible, right? So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right here on Making Life Brighter Radio, and maybe we can talk Richie into playing a little bit of that guitar behind him, because he might. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh,
but
boy.
We're going to put him on the spot possibly. But anyway, we are here with Richie Onori. Please go to richieonori.com and follow along, because all of his information is there. You have to hear his music, and what's so wonderful is go to the music page on his site, and you can scroll through all of that. Just listen. Just put it on, leave it on, and listen. It is amazing. And it has heart and soul in it, in a way. There's an energy. There's a spiritual energy to it. And that's one of the reasons I'm featuring it here. So it's not just music. There's spirit in this. And I invite you to check it out. He's on every medium you can find. So we'll be right back. You're listening to Making Life Brighter Radio today with Richie Onori. Woohoo! We'll be right back.
One man is growing old and one man is being told that
You are listening to Making Life Brighter, a presentation by the Quantum Galaxy Network for the Variety Channel on Voice America, featuring visionaries, thought leaders, and consciousness experts leading the way as we prepare the planet for the golden age and beyond. Right here on Making Life Brighter Radio with your host, leading medical intuitive Winifred Adams. Be sure to download the app. For more information, go to makinglifebrighter.com under media. Now, back to the show with your host, Winifred Adams.
And we're back. You're listening to Making Life Brighter Radio. Today we have superstar Richie Onori, and he's here with us. And he's in Nashville right now. He's in the RV, and he's got his guitar with him. Go ahead, Richie. Give us a little. You don't hear the guitar so much. Dang.
Can't hear it?
We can hear you, but we can't hear the guitar. Zoom does that.
I'm just a simple man. I got a simple point of view. Sometimes I feel so blue. All we need is so there's a little of American Fighters calling American Fighters. We're American fighters.
I love it. I love it. Yes, we are American fighters, and you are fighting for America. And we may have to team up. We've got some things on the docket. So Running Down the Devil's Road is his latest single, and you can go to richieonori.com and check that out. Richie has played with just about everybody on the planet. And what was it like to play with and for Aerosmith? What was that like? I know you talked about Journey, but you did a little bit.
Well, I mean, it was an interesting thing because these were the days that was different where we did shows with Alice Cooper back in the day. But what happened was there was a club where basically Van Halen, they were found there by Mo Austin. And it was called the Starwood. And that's where a lot of trouble happened with my life that started with that. But that was the big club to play. And our band would play like 3 nights in a row and pack the place. And Journey would play there as well. But Journey wanted to play a small venue during the Toys in the Attic days, which was one of their biggest albums. So they decided to come in on the night we were headlining, and they came in as Dr. Jones and the Interns. So they were basically looked like they were opening for us, right? It said Satter and then Dr. Jones and the Interns. So the funny thing is that night, this is a funny little story. We played our set. The place was packed. The DJ mentioned that a very famous musician, a singer, a guy named Steve his last name starts with a T, is going to be at the Starwood tonight. Well, everybody put 2 and 2 together. They had to close Santa Monica Boulevard off. I couldn't even get in, and we're headlining. I had to break, the line. It was a mob. So we get in, everybody's there, Rod Stewart, everybody you could imagine is, waiting for this big show. And, we finished our set and we did a version of Helter Skelter, which we killed it. It was fantastic. Well, those guys, again, they're in the back with a bunch of crazy people doing blow and doing everything you can imagine. They didn't even hear us play Aerosmith. They come out on stage. The first song they play, Helter Skelter. The audience is going, that's pretty funny.
That is pretty funny. That's hilarious. They just couldn't be outdone. So that's all it was. But it was a scene. So what's different today? I mean, that was the scene. What do you think about when you think about music then and now?
Well, there was an excitement, being there to live through that whole era and being there through the Van Halen days, the Guns N' Roses days, and being in other bands where you'd be rehearsing all these people. And it was a lot of excitement on the streets in Hollywood. It was that glamour, the glamour thing. And that left. And now in LA, it's pretty much not that great of a scene, in my opinion. Very few places to play for the artists to really show their stuff. You got the whiskey still, and so that kind of keeps it going. And then you've got a lot of people, but it's changed because, but the young people are coming back. It's almost like how the young people back in the 60s started finding the blues, why they started listening to Cream. Same thing happens. Why are they finding Sweet, the group I play in, and all these bands? And why is the country music, why is now country the biggest thing? Because people love live music. The days of AI music, people are doing it, but I was just at Bluebird Cafe the other day joining a female vocalist. I was backing her up the first day I was here, and all these young songwriters, amazing, some crazy talent. They're going AI, and it was good to see. It's a vibrant scene here in Nashville.
That's really cool. I was going to ask you about that. And everyone is worried about AI and AI likeness and things like that. What do you think about the whole AI taking over people's voices and so on?
Well, I think it's kind of out of the bag now. That, wait a second, but it's a great way to demo songs out. I just did a new song that I wrote called Tennessee Gin and Cotton, and my co-writer on it, she did a version, even though I had already cut it. It's amazing. It really mapped it out beautifully. Now, are we going to recut it with real musicians and the whole? We are. Are we going to have maybe a big country star come in and sing it, or possibly me or my friend Danny? We probably are. But AI has its mode. Look at everybody's on GPT right now doing amazing stuff, decorating. I mean, you gotta roll with technology too. But in music,
it's about the people. It's about the heart and soul. It's about the gathering, really. And are you going to play venues there? Are you going to go out on tour in that area now? What's the plan?
Well, the plan is taking root. We just played North Dakota. The day before we got up here, we played near Bismarck, right where Standing Rock was. We were at this concert with a group called Firehouse, and the drummer was sitting in, but he lives in Nashville, and he plays with the Rinthia, the Michael the Blonde with Richie Sambora. Now they're back together and stuff. But yeah, I know so many people here now, and so starting to plant the seeds here to do some shows here, and then start. My Danny has this agency, so we're talking about booking a tour around the South. There's a lot of places to play, Atlanta, and all over the place.
All over Georgia,
I
the whole bit.
Yeah, Georgia. Come on, I mean Louisiana. I mean,
yeah,
we're just creating it, making it happen, man, as we go.
And Florida, you got to go down to Florida for sure. It's such a scene there too, and the Keys and Clearwater and Tampa and all of that. You totally can do that. Your music is so sweet, and I say that and I mean that. It's really well done. Where did you actually cut the track of your latest single?
Well, there's a producer that Danny, my friend here in Nashville, uses too, and that's how we got connected. His name's Dave Jenkins, and he's a phenomenal producer. And we cut it. A lot of the tracks were cut at my house in Woodland Hills back in the day when I had my 4-story huge house that you were at.
Yeah.
And so I cut some of the tracks there, but then on the recent ones, I cut with like I'm a Hick at Heart, which is a really cool song. I used Scarlett Rivera, who was Bob Dylan's. She's on Hurricane, and she's part of that whole. Anyways, she's on my track. So we cut those songs up in Ventura at Dave and Mark Antaki's studio, and there you go.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I think you could do the Hick at Heart with a cover song of some great country star down there too. It would be great both ways. You gotta get somebody real twangy in addition. Besides you should do a duet. That's what you should do. That'd be awesome. I love it. So Richie, you have quite a flavored background of music and playing music. What instrument do you prefer most?
Well, just like Phil Collins, now he can't play drums, but he was so upset that he couldn't play drums. And here he is, this great vocalist and piano player and all that. So, I recently had a surgery I had to do on my shoulder, and so I we played that in March. We played the that cruise with all those bands, and then I did my surgery, and I just did my first show in North Dakota. I'll tell you, getting back on the drums and being able to do it again. So I'm very attached to drumming, but as far as songwriting, I'm not trained as a guitarist. There's a purpose for that. I wanted originality. The reason you get that originality from me and why it does is because it comes from here. And I developed a lot of my own chords. I didn't even know what they were, except the basic ones. And so that was my motive operandi. And I was able to be able to create a lot of music and craft a lot of music that way. So, yeah,
Who's
that's
your Who's
yeah.
your favorite drummer besides you? Who's your favorite drummer?
Uh, there's a lot of guys. Like I said, Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa is what I studied. There was Mitch Mitchell from one of my favorite drummers was Jethro Tull, the original drummer, Clive Bunker. I was really moved because he was able to put jazz chops together with rock and progressive. I loved a lot of new bands out like Porcupine Tree is an amazing progressive band. Genesis, Phil Collins was one of my favorite drummers. I loved him for a period of time. So as you go through, there's just so many good players out there that really deserve a lot of recognition. So
I know that people, they don't talk about the drummers as much. I mean, some people do, but it's like the backbone of the whole band. Without that, it doesn't have its defining flavor. And
you know what happened with John Bonham? Speaking of one of my favorite drummers, Bonham and Keith Moon. I mean, the minute that happened, everything changed with those bands. So you're right.
it
It's
is
the
the flavor. It is.
Mhm.
And what I always find interesting is the psychology of drummers. They're always so quiet, but they always have so much to say because they're observing everything. Once you sit down with them on break, it's like, oh, okay. And they don't say anything, but they hear everything.
Well, actually, drummers actually become really good arrangers and composers because we know the form so much and we know where to cut the fat off. At least that's the way it is for me. Because I do a lot of the writing for Sweet, a lot of the new songs. We have a few songs out. One was Steve Priest before he passed away. Um, and then a new one that's coming out called In the Sky, which is the battle between uh, a spiritual battle that's going on right now
Oh
in the
yeah.
heaven and on earth. That's what
Let
the lyrics are. And of course, I wrote those. And that's a very progressive, heavy song.
Well,
A
we're going to get
difficult.
into that. We need to take a quick break. I totally want to talk about that. Everyone, stay tuned. We're listening to Making Life Brighter Radio here, and you can follow along. You'll also see an outtake on YouTube at Making Life Brighter. You can follow along and catch the archive today on the Voice America Media channel on the Variety channel, and just look up Making Life Brighter. Just go search Making Life Brighter. It'll be out there. All right, when we come back, we're going to get into that deeper spiritual conversation because it's time and it's necessary. The world is changing and we need to talk with people with their finger on the pulse. And today we have Richie Onori right here in studio live out of Nashville with us. Check it out, richieonori.com. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. For more information, please visit us at makinglifebrighter.com. If you'd like more information on intuitive coaching, coursework, or to book an appointment with medical intuitive Winifred Adams, please email us at radio@makinglifebrighter.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook and download the app. Go to makinglifebrighter.com for more information. And now, back to the show with your host, Winifred Adams.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Today we have famous drummer Richie Onori in studio with us, and he's dropped his recent single. It's called Running Down the Devil's Road, and I ask you to go look that up, but check it out at richieonori.com. And he's been sharing his incredible life story, his journey in music with us, and he had a very interesting story that happened a long time ago that ended up redefining his life and probably the value of it. But in 1992, he became drug-free, and that has changed his life. Richie, how has that changed your life?
Well, through all my adventures and even psychedelic adventures, I had reached a point where I had taken it to the limit, and I already saw what I saw. And I looked at other realms through my experience, and it was time to stop everything and have a fresh new start. So I did a thing called the purification rundown that got all the drugs out of my system, because a lot of the drugs are actually trapped into our cells in our body. Not like alcohol. Alcohol affects you on a mental mass level, but what is stored up in our body never actually escapes unless you actually do this process that I did. So at the end of that process, I was able, wow, I am reborn. And to have that rebirth again, I would never want to ever take another drug again, because all that experimentation, I already been there, done that, to be able to have that clarity, to have that clearness, and to be able to see and to observe and to have knowingness, like I gained over the years that followed 1992, gave me the wherewithal to get where I'm going right now.
And it's spiritual knowingness. It's a spiritual depth different than the trips that you went on.
That's where you become the visionary, but it's a lot. A lot of people think this planet is a prison planet. Why has it happened so often? Is this the fourth turning? There's a lot of people discussing what's happening on this planet, or will this be, as the 2%ers that are out to pretty much are in so much fear that just want to destroy everything all the time. And the other 18% that are connected to those 2% are really the ones. 80% are pretty much good people. They want to make things go right. But being divided and conquered, as we are, as you see what's happening, but when you really slice it, who's at the top of the pyramid, the 2% or the power elite, these certain ones that are in fear, that want to go underground or believe or want to create a catastrophe, the apocalypse, all these different things, they are going that right. There's people like you and your audience want to create the new golden age. And politicians don't always lead us in that direction. They say they do, but it's all a big money. It's all a big thing. It's all deal. And power, once you got it, it basically corrupts, as we know about corruption. So I know that the mission is us with the internet and this point in time, looking at, what 1984 was just nothing compared to what could happen if we don't all unify. And that's the reason I did the unification, unity, peace, and freedom through music, because we need to get everybody on the same page. And so that's my feelings on that.
And how do you see yourself doing that right now? What's the next step of really bringing awareness to the world for true change?
Well, it's not in my hands, but it is in my hands, because we're co-creators with the creator. And that's the truth of the matter, is that you have to listen. And because it is a battle between good and evil, it's being played out. And even even God is challenged with this planet Earth and all the temptations of sensation and all the things that happen on this planet. From those realms, they try to communicate and try to change everything, but man, you see, they go into the drugs and they go into this or this therapy and that therapy. It turns out to be dead ends. And so that's mankind goes into this continuous from Rome to the many trillions of years that this earth has been here. They go into abyss because we're in the physical plane. Man is a soul and we have incredible potentiality. See, and we have unlimited potentiality. So, what is my role? To keep on getting bigger and bigger and to be more of that visionary and get my projects out there the best I can until I have my last breath in this lifetime. Hopefully, I can achieve what I'm meant to do and what I was chosen to do.
Well, I'll hold that vision for you. I'm sure you will. And you've come a long way through a lot of things, and you're quite the inspiration, both musically and personally. And your sweet soul is moving many people forward. And so, Richie, do you think we'll be moving into a new earth or a fifth dimensional field? How do you see that?
Well, like I said, the battle continues. And with everything that's going on and all these isms, we are in a time. I believe that if we come together and are at cause, and people wake up and unify in the right way, that we become the leaders and we're able, as we the people, can do this. But right now, it's up for grabs because the people that have the trillions of dollars that do have the power on this, they control the media, they control everything. And so we are at a even in 2011, the name of my record was Moment of Truth. I still believe that. We're in Moment of Truth. And so we are in a particular time where if everybody doesn't get on the same page together, we could lose everything that we have in this beautiful playground called the Earth. It's a beautiful playground, but we need to continue. And culture and art changes culture. See, that's why we're musicians, artists, writers, all these things. So that's part of our role and your audience out there to support what we're doing and to be able to really come together and band together and really do that. So I believe we will win. I believe good will overcome evil at this juncture of time.
Well, I think that's really important because we are at that crossroads. And I always ask everyone, what makes your life brighter?
What makes my life brighter is you and your show and people like you and people, all my friends that have their stories and share their stories and their unique stories and love and experience. These are all the things and just living and traveling and seeing the beautiful country and the world that we live in right now, and try to block out some of the darkness and start vibrating on the higher levels, that we can start raising the consciousness of, instead of the low toners, we become high beamers. So high beamers matter for the brightness.
Thank you so much, everybody. Richie Onori, richieonori.com. Go check out the news. All of his information is on his website, and you can check out his singles, check out his music. It's so amazing. Thank you, Richie, for being with us today. And we will have you back. We'll check out what's going on, running down the Devil's Road right here on Making Life Brighter. Go jolly, everybody, and go out and make someone else's life brighter. Richie Onori, thank you for being here.
Thank y'all.
Gonna break free tonight.
Thank you for listening to Making Life Brighter with Winifred Adams. Be sure to join us every Thursday at 10 a.m. on the Variety Channel on Voice America for quantum healing information, education, and inspiration with thought leaders and experts preparing us and the planet for the golden age and beyond. Go Jolly!